They were booing inside a World Cup stadium, not at a referee, not at a player, not at a foul or an offside or a red card, at a whistle that stopped the game so that footballers could drink water. In Foxborough, Massachusetts, when the referee blew for the first hydration break during Iraq versus Norway, the crowd reacted with loud, unmistakable boos. Not polite grumbling, not a ripple of disappointment, a full-throated stadium reaction to a pause in play that most of them had not fully anticipated, in a sport they had paid hundreds of dollars to watch. The sound traveled through the broadcast. Social media captured it instantly, and it became the most honest expression of what football's global fan base has been feeling since this rule appeared in every single match of the 2026 World Cup. The boos in Foxborough were not an isolated moment. They were a signal. And what they signal is something FIFA needs to understand before this tournament ends. Stay with us, because the story of how the hydration breaks are turning fans against the World Cup is one that no amount of official statements about player welfare can fully answer. The most powerful argument against FIFA's mandatory hydration breaks is not a statistic, it is a moment. A single moment that anyone who watched it will remember for the rest of their football life. Curaçao, the smallest nation by population ever to qualify for a World Cup, against Germany, the four-time world champions, in Houston, Group E of the 2026 World Cup. And in the 22nd minute, a player named Livano Comenencia scored for Curaçao against Germany at a World Cup. The stadium shook. The Curaçao fans, who had perhaps never expected to experience anything like this, erupted with a joy that only sport, in its most unexpected moments, can produce. Their nation of 150,000 people had just equalized against one of the giants of world football. Everything was possible. Then the referee blew his whistle. Not because anything had happened on the pitch, because it was the 22nd minute, and at the 22nd minute of every first half of every World Cup match, the hydration break comes, whether a miracle has just occurred or not, whether momentum is alive and fragile and ripe for destruction. The whistle comes. Curaçao lost the initiative. Germany's coach, Julian Nagelsmann, gathered his players, adjusted his plan, and sent them back out. 2 more goals before halftime, 7-1 at full-time. The fairy tale was over. Alan Shearer, watching the footage, said exactly what every neutral felt. I actually felt sorry for them. They scored, and then it was maybe 30 seconds after that it stopped, so it killed their momentum. 30 seconds from the peak of the greatest moment in Curaçao football history to a 3-minute pause in play. If you care about what is happening to football at this World Cup, subscribe now and hit the bell, because what these breaks are doing to the game is a conversation that cannot wait for the tournament to end. The momentum problem is not unique to Curaçao. Bosnia and Herzegovina lost momentum during their hydration pause. The data analysts tracking this tournament have produced momentum maps showing how games shifted after the breaks, and the pattern is consistent. The team that was on top before the whistle is statistically less likely to be on top immediately after it. The team that was struggling is statistically more likely to regroup. Former American international Ali Krieger gave this phenomenon its most accurate name. She called them momentum breaks rather than hydration breaks. She said, it's advantageous for the team losing momentum. When you're on top, you don't want it. When you're losing, you do. She added something that deserves to be heard in full. Sometimes it's not even coaching during the hydration break. It's about taking on fluid and calming players. Sometimes it can be doing nothing, but that can be considered coaching as well. It's a shame. Coaching by doing nothing. 3 minutes of deliberate calm in the middle of a moment that was supposed to be uncontrollable. The chaos that football produces, the improvised, flowing, momentum-driven chaos that makes it the most watched sport on earth, being managed, regulated, and redirected by a mandatory pause that no team asked for and no player in the stadium can avoid.
Carlo Ancelotti, Brazil's coach, was honest enough to acknowledge the tactical dimension directly after his team's draw with Morocco. The first-half hydration break had allowed him to deliver fresh instructions. Vinicius Jr. scored 6 minutes after play resumed. Ancelotti said plainly that during the break you can explain a problem to the players and make a tactical adjustment that can be very good. A tactical adjustment that can be very good, for a rule that was sold to the world as a player welfare measure. The fans watching in the stadium are not the only ones experiencing the disruption. The fans watching on television, hundreds of millions of them across the world, are experiencing something different but equally unwelcome. In the United States, Fox Sports cuts immediately to commercials when the hydration break whistle blows. Telemundo, broadcasting in Spanish, keeps the camera on the pitch. Two broadcasters, same break, two completely different decisions about what those 3 minutes actually are. Virgil van Dijk, Netherlands captain and one of the most respected players in world football, put the television experience into words that every fan who has watched this World Cup from home will recognize immediately. "Hydration breaks are a bit interesting," he said carefully. "Every time going to commercial is a bit not really something that I like. I think for the neutral watchers on TV, it's also not great." Not great from the captain of the Netherlands about something that happens in every single match of this tournament. Roy Keane was less diplomatic. On the Overlap podcast, the former Ireland international and Manchester United midfielder said what many fans are thinking. "We're in America, right? So it's like it is a timeout. We love football because of the pace of the game. What it's doing is stopping the flow of the game, the momentum." The pace of the game, the flow, the momentum, these are not abstract qualities. They are the specific things that make football uniquely compelling as a sport. They are the reason a 0-0 match between two well-matched teams can hold 80,000 people in complete silence, and the reason a single goal can release that silence into something that feels like an explosion. They are the reason people set alarms to watch games at 3 in the morning from the other side of the planet. And they're the things that a mandatory 3-minute break at the 22nd minute of every half most consistently disrupts. The science is worth addressing honestly. Heat illness is a genuine danger. Players competing in Houston or Miami at noon in June face real physiological risks. The case for hydration breaks in those specific conditions is real and should not be dismissed. But weather experts have noted that very few of the games played so far have actually met the temperature threshold that would normally trigger a cooling break under existing FIFA guidelines. The Spain versus Cape Verde match inside Atlanta's fully air-conditioned, roofed stadium received a hydration break. The temperature inside that venue was completely controlled, no heat risk, no medical necessity, and still the whistle came. Because the rule is not about temperature. FIFA's chief tournament officer Manolo Zubiri confirmed it directly. There will be no weather or temperature condition in place. Every game, no exceptions, regardless of roof, regardless of thermometer.
Scientists from the University of Connecticut's Corey Stringer Institute, who co-signed a letter to FIFA urging stricter heat guidelines, noted that 3 minutes is too short to make significant physiological impact anyway. To meaningfully reduce a player's core temperature, 5 to 6 minutes are needed. The break is too short to do its stated job properly, but it is exactly long enough for a commercial break. Football fans across the world have noticed that connection, and they have reacted on social media with the wit that only genuine frustration produces. Viral AI-generated videos emerged of national team players filling their 3 minutes in stereotype-driven ways. England players sipping tea from fine china, the American squad hosting a backyard barbecue, the Japanese team eating sushi in perfect silence. The humor is a coping mechanism. Underneath it is a real annoyance that the sport they love has been interrupted in every match by something that many of them believe is not primarily about their welfare at all. Didier Deschamps, France's manager, said the sport is changing. He acknowledged the 4-quarter structure the breaks create. He said players and coaches adapt. Football, he suggested, moves forward. But Ståle Solbakken, Norway's coach, offered the most concise and precise critique of all. Other rules at this World Cup, he noted, are designed to speed up the game. The hydration breaks slow it down. It speaks against itself. Against itself, a tournament designed to produce the world's greatest football, implementing a rule that works against the qualities that make football great. The fans in Foxborough booed. The fans on social media made memes. The coaches at press conferences chose their words carefully and said what they were allowed to say. And the momentum maps recorded what actually happened after every whistle. The game stopped at the wrong moment for 3 minutes, and then it started again, slightly different from the way it had been before. That is FIFA's hydration break. 104 matches, 208 times, and counting.